Oh, yeah. Jonathan Haidt?
Yep. What's happened, John Haidt?
He's descended.
Descended?
It's Jonathan Haidt. So he's descended.
No,
it didn't work.
No.
Didn't work at all.
No, because that implies that he got like booped down a position job-wise, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, Jonathan. We'll call him John Missing for now.
Yeah.
No. But look, yeah, this is the situation. Mikey Barra tweeted that they're looking for an executive producer for World of Warcraft here at Blizzard. And, I mean, certainly, if you're going to judge World of Warcraft by its whole major patch per money you've put into your sub fee, World of Warcraft has just went fucking The value proposition of World of Warcraft is in the shitter compared to Legion.
Should be
about
50p a month, like.
Yeah, at this stage, yeah. You know, you look at WoW, like, where's the content? Now we're in this position in Shadowlands where, like, oh, wow, we're getting a patch in between our major patch that has a tiny amount of content, woo! Whereas, you know, in Legion, and even in some points of BFA, those 0.5s had fucking content in them. Yep.
Oh, that's the thing. It's like
seriously, you are getting so shafted on value for money for World of Warcraft right now versus the past. It's wild.
Yeah.
And one of the things a producer should be doing is all this big picture shit, stopping that from happening. You know, whenever the game team does something that doesn't really seem like it's feasible, or maybe seems like it's a bit too risky and could end up, you know, being cut.
Yeah.
I mean, the producer's supposed to come in there and be like, no. Your creativity. Here's the thing, right? There's a time where what you want is go creative, go mad. But in a live game, there's actually times where you have to be sorry. Your creativity is killing the product. We can't do that. We have got to cut scope, refocus, and do this. And I'm not saying that's happened, but I am saying that, like, where is the content? All this talk about, you know, Shadowlands is a planned story in 3 acts. I mean, if there's a story in 3 acts, have you ever read a book or, you know, have you ever seen a story before? This is a story in an appendix and 3 pamphlets. That's a little bit mean, but you know what I mean, right? The story of Shadowlands has just felt like, yep. You know, we're sitting there like poking a bunch of gorms, watching the goo come out, and above us, like the story is just racing past while we don't see it. That's the weird thing with Shadowlands, right?
The gorm.
Oh, the amount of time I spent. You know what? When I was excited about Ardenweald, I didn't think I'd spend so much time poking sluggy gorm things.
Yeah, that was such a. You know what genuinely irked me about Ardenweald more than anything else? The actual good part of Ardenweald, the good content, talking with the people and engaging with the people that you thought you would care about, was all in the side quests. All of the main, I would call them main scenario quests, fucking hell. All of the, like, the main chapter quests were just gorm shit. And, like, almost literally. And, like, goddamn. And then you go do the other ones, that it's like that quest line that has all of the quest titles or Persona 5 references. That one's like a pretty good side quest where you deal with the actual characters. Or like the people of Ardenweald as opposed to just their one singular problem. You're like, damn, what a waste. What a waste.
Yeah, so World of Warcraft hiring an executive producer, that's clearly a major role. You might be thinking what happened to Jonathan Haidt. I suppose he got Hire. He's now called Jonathan Hire because he is in fact no longer the executive producer. He's the general manager of the Warcraft franchise. So that's what he is. Yeah, and he started this role in November 2021. The quick little job description says, oversee all game development and operations for the Warcraft franchise.
Good luck.
Yep, I've made a fucking pig's ear of that one. So maybe it's a good thing that somebody new is in that role. Maybe John is just going to have a better idea of how things should be. Now we can actually take a look at the executive producer job role.
Indeed.
It's going to help us understand what this role is going to be.
I took a look. There's nothing major jumped out at me about it, but...
Well, the Warcraft universe is growing. Is it now?
The universe is growing.
I actually think that Zoval has made the Warcraft universe smaller than ever.
Yeah.
Mr. Slash, to make a pig's ear of something is basically just to cock the whole thing up horrendously.
Yeah.
To make a big old mess. So yes, the Warcraft universe is growing. We're looking for an outstanding leader to join the team as executive producer who will oversee all World of Warcraft business and game development, helping to shape the future of our flagship MMORPG. And, talking about lots and lots of, experience. Reporting to Jonathan Haidt. Will serve as business and development lead. Will oversee a cross-discipline team of directors while working closely with other key leaders to collaborate across the development, publishing, operations, and technical shit of Warcraft. So there you go.
Yeah. Good luck.
And, decently obvious set of, of things that they want to see.
Yep.
So that's basically what they want, a new executive producer for World of Warcraft. And I mean, I don't know, if anything, it just seems to me like World of Warcraft must be one of the most poorly produced games. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the worst produced game, that's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
But evidently, speaking purely as people who are thinking, where is the content in my game?
Yeah.
Where is the content in the game? It's like if you're a Destiny player, you're buying season passes and shit. But if you're a Destiny player and you don't like the patch, you can simply just not buy it. But no, if you're a Destiny player, you know what's coming.
Yep.
You've known like years in advance. You know what their season pass model is. You basically know that every quarter there's going to be a big new thing, and your season thingy will start, and then things will happen across the season. Like, what's up if you're a Destiny person.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
That should be the case with every live game, because that's how you have players. You have faith in where it's going.
Yeah, and World of Warcraft is clearly, as WoW players have not been able to have that, like that sense of knowing where things are going, knowing what to expect, and that's really powerful for a Destiny person. Just knowing there's a year of content. Here's roughly what it looks like, and sure, I won't know a lot of information about some new season that's 2 seasons away, but you'll kind of know it's coming.
Yeah.
And World of Warcraft hasn't had that, and I think that's been very damaging, because at least with the 77 Days Legion thing, felt like a live game.
Yeah, it was a live game.
I mean, at worst, you could feel slightly rushed.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, whereas with this, you kind of look at a bunch of new content where you're like, oh, better not eat it all at once. And yeah, I'm not, so like I'm not a Destiny player or anything, but certainly when I look at that, like they do their devlog things. I forget what they call them for Destiny, but they do like fairly regular, decently in-depth communications with their players, and at the same time, the players know what to expect. I think that's such a powerful thing, and evidently World of Warcraft has not had a solid enough production pipeline, or a risk-free. No production pipeline is risk-free, but a well risk-managed enough one for them to let us know in advance.
Yeah, I think that's the.
So I mean, I'm this week at Bungie, or TWAB. TWAB. They never missed the TWAB in years.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like, even as a Star Citizen person, I feel like I at least know what the crack is, because they have their they have their updates and stuff. So I think that's the sort of thing that Blizzard needs. And, I wonder, maybe they actually do know all of these things, but they're choosing not to say. But I mean, given that it seems like Shadowlands, they've almost been writing it as they've went, and they've essentially admitted to that in an interview. I mean, I'm sure they had an outline and everything, but, the weird twisty turny Shadowlands, it's like, if that's how you're driving it forward, then how exactly are you going to be able to, to kind of let people know big what's going on? And maybe that's because they've had a degree of fear.
Yeah.
Maybe we've had some like fear about, well, will our new thing be good? We don't know. Maybe they have like some insecurities about like, well, the players like the thing we've done, and maybe that means they don't want to commit to anything, so they don't talk publicly. Anyway, the point is, for all of its issues, Destiny actually does have a lot of fairly solid things in terms of managing a live game that are worth talking about.
I think one of the things that impacts World of Warcraft the most in this regard is that there's no solid foundation for content. There's nothing that they can just say, hey, we're expanding this. They can't tell us what content's coming because, one, who knows if they've planned it? Two, we don't know where it'll be. and literally everything they do right now is so tied to what the next patch's like story content is. Like, you know, whenever the Zerath Mortis is happening, they can't tell us that outside of there's a new zone, which we kind of come to expect anyway.
Yeah.
But they can't tell us anything, and it's all so centralized in this new zone. There's like new zone, and then you go, well, that new zone has all this new stuff in it, but it doesn't feel that way because it's a new zone that we don't really care too much about because we don't really we're not following the story all that closely. But if they had things at home that they could just build up, obviously the way FF kind of has as well, where it's just, hey, here's this system that we've got, it's going to get an update. Right? Okay, cool, sweet. And then they don't have to say, well, you know, here's the 3 question marks for what the next patch is going to be that you should be excited for. Here's all the hype stuff. But then also, here's all the little bits that we have, the background updating and improving things team.
Yeah. Background
updating and improving that we're told of in advance, as opposed to what's in this PTR that's about to go live.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of that's the thing that I think is really missing, is a way for them to communicate updates through those systems as opposed to just...
I think the big thing here is, look, for the longest time they existed as untouchables. They were completely untouchable, and that's just not the case anymore. I mean, there's all these MMOs, like even come on, words, Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
It's just constantly, it just seems to have its happy community. Obviously, there's Final Fantasy, but like they've never really had to worry about that aspect of marketing because they've always won by default. And I think and actually we can talk about this more because I genuinely do think that a lot of what I'm going to call corporate systemic incompetence was pervasive at the company, because basically performance was I think almost guaranteed for most of what they did with games like Warcraft, and in how they handled, say, like, hate the term influencers, but like, you know, just how that stuff was handled, like not incompetently by the people doing the handling, as in it's impossible for the people doing the handling of the influencers to do a good job because of all of the corporate bullshit they're surrounded by and all of the company policies. So I just wonder if, you know, they kind of came into power winning by default, and because they just won by default for so long, like they never really had to do loads of things well. Yeah. So then, you know, you maybe have a game that really feels like it needs to prove itself, and it needs to grow in this crowded market where you've got to distinguish yourself. And maybe that's where, I don't know, you get a situation where Bungie sort of catch on to how the internet is these days and starts doing all that stuff to keep their community engaged. And, you know, lots of other games that do that pretty well. I had an example that was way smaller than Bungie, but it mid-sentence floated out of my head. So who knows what that was. Yeah. But yeah, I think there could be something to that, and that's a big area for Blizzard to improve. I think they need to do something really big and ambitious there. I mean, what happens? You know, it's the start of the new year. We get a big thing being like, here's our update for the start of 2022. You know, we're going to have a major patch coming out here. We're going to have, well, let us know what's going on, roughly. But I suppose maybe they just don't have the confidence in that yet, because how do they know? Maybe they just because of, you know, production being behind and stuff. Who the fuck knows? Yep. Whatever.
It's actually one thing I did want to highlight about that job posting. If you want to open it up again for me there.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting the way they, obviously this is like kind of generic, but to me, maybe I'm just hyper reading into it. I'm like, I see you're actually using the term "and win back." So you are saying there's a lot of people gone. We need to bring them back. And they need to have someone who's capable of doing that or strategizing around it. So
what is the difference between WoW now and WoW back then? And how do you deliver a modernized version of that older thing now, while still keeping the people who like the game right now? And that's actually a really big challenge, because, you know, the sort of, I don't know why I was going to call them the Mythic Plus Zoomers. Let's just call them the Mythic, whatever. But, you know, how do you reconcile what a bunch of way, like, older WoW players like versus the M Plus Zoomers? That's just going to be pretty hard. So that win-back thing is really interesting. Yep. To me, that's just going to be, like, I think just more emotion. So I think really taking a look at like what does the game feel like to be in, and what is different between now and the past. I think a lot of things are different between now and the past. I think that's what it would take to win people back. But that's a very interesting thing. Yeah.
Yep. I guess I guess the solution there is likely what they've let the kind of cat out of the bag in the sense of they cannot unify their audience into one gameplay style or scenario anymore. It's too wide because of how they've done it. So they will need to either abandon a part of the audience to focus on a niche, or develop the capabilities to support all niches of audience that they're trying to support at the same time, which is something they have been very obviously failing at, because so much focus is on gameplay first as opposed to experience first.
Yeah, I think gameplay first, one of the extremely misunderstood things. So, very interesting. New executive producer. Of course, remember they have the job listing up for a associate director for World of Warcraft. Yep. So basically, like it was a number 2 to Ian when it comes to like more day-to-day Warcrafty things.
Yeah, same. Was his name Aaron, the one for Aaron Keller for Overwatch, was number 2 to Papa Jeff.
And actually, on this thing, Mike actually had another tweet. I don't know if it was Hearthstone or something, but there's another. Yeah, there's another executive producer role they're hiring for another one of their games as well.